Welcome to World Business. Now, the quantum computing race is in full swing, with many of the biggest brands in tech battling to launch new chips and supporting services and secure a prominent position in this latest technology revolution. Conventional computers use bits representing values of either 1 or 0, but quantum computers work on qubits, processing multiple actions simultaneously and solving the most complex problems exponentially faster than traditional computers. Well, joining me now is a man who fully understands the inner workings of this futuristic sector, Mr. Niccolo de Masi, who is President and CEO of IonQ, one of the biggest quantum computing companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Niccolo, thank you very, very much for joining us on World Business.
Pleasure to be here, Guy. Good to see you again.
Can we please start with an explainer? Give us a sense of the scale of this sector and how this ultra-fast technology is likely to change the world.
Yeah, so look, I've been on the board of IonQ for about 5 years. I was actually the original sponsor of its IPO in 2020. And I've been working closely with the entire, C-suite. I actually interviewed a lot of them. And Peter Chapman, who's now our executive chairman and until last week was the CEO. And we worked together on pretty much all the major strategic decisions the last 5 years. So it's been a very seamless transition for me. When you stand back and look at IonQ's market, we're actually in 2 business lines. So we're in, of course, quantum computing, which is the core of the employee base, and where 500 of our 933 patents remain. And we keep building that out. But 400 of our patents and a good chunk of the revenue is actually coming now from quantum networking as well. And the 2 are related. They are a similar technology core, but we think of ourselves as addressing 2 TAMs, if you will. McKinsey just put a report out last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that identified each business as being about a $10 to $15 billion annual revenue opportunity in the coming, they said in the coming 5 to 10 years. We obviously have been at this longer than almost everybody else in the space. And so I remember studying IonQ's founders and foundational research as far back as the mid to late 90s. So it's closer to 30 years in gestation to get to where we are than what you'd expect from most startups. Quantum computing, of course, was theoretically postulated by Richard Feynman, in the 1970s. It took until the 1990s for one of IonQ's research founders, Chris Monroe, to demonstrate this could be done theoretically, physically in the lab. And then since the mid-90s to today, the company has, of course, invested prodigiously in R&D. And we are proud to be the first public company in the quantum computing space. That was a 2020, 2021 IPO. And since then, we've, of course, continued to build the commercialization vector as well as the R&D vector of the company. I think about quantum computing as the 3rd leg of the stool to the overall computing market. So we used to have just CPUs, and Intel was the king of the roost. And I can remember Intel saying that, this newfangled GPU thing that NVIDIA was doing or Broadcom was doing was never going to matter. And it was small and irrelevant, 10, 15 years ago. And of course, that has not transpired to be the case because GPUs, though they were built for obviously originally game consoles, they're very good at calculations that work for what we call classical AI. Now, it turns out that we've known for 50 years since Dr. Feynman was first thought about this in the 70s, that there's a whole class of problems that are not going to be solvable by CPUs or GPUs. That's point one. Second point is there's a whole set of problems that quantum processing units, what we call our machines, QPUs, are going to be much more energy efficient and space efficient for solving. And then there's going to be problems just like today with computers that require a CPU and a GPU. There will be problems that will use classical AI and quantum AI or quantum machine learning, to address efficiently and quickly. Humanity has this voracious appetite for computing power. And the amazing thing about, we as a civilization is that we figure out every year or two how to take advantage of more hardware power using, software to, frankly, improve everyone's life, right? And so quantum computing is focused on solving the most impactful, hardest problems that the world has ever dreamt of, that are largely outstanding. It's everything from how do I make better, renewable energy, solar cells, through to how do I ultimately solve some of the logistics, complexities that delivery companies have. How do I solve, yes, the battlefield of the future is part of it for sure. Code making and code breaking are both things that IonQ does. So quantum computing can do code breaking as we build bigger machines, and quantum networking will build the internet of the future to ensure that we always have safe and reliable communications for e-commerce, the battlefield, governments and companies to protect their information. When you look more broadly, though, drug discovery, creating new materials, we're a unique business because we IPO'd first and we've raised the most money in the independent quantum computing space. As a result, we have more commercial partnerships than anybody else in the ecosystem. So whether it's AstraZeneca on drug design, ANSYS on computational engineering, General Dynamics on fraud and anomaly detection, and we've of course got partnerships with three-letter agencies around the world and companies like Airbus. They just want our help on how to stack cargo efficiently, inside their machines. What quantum computers do that's so unique is they solve a number of permutations and look at all of the combinations of a problem in parallel as opposed to in series. There's this phenomenon called quantum entanglement that allows our computation unit is called a qubit. And a qubit can look at a bunch of computational permutations with all the other qubits at the same time. And so you hear in our industry people talk about how many qubits the system has. We have more logical or algorithmic qubits that can do computational work in the marketplace, we believe, than anybody else in the world. We're the only computing system in the quantum world that you can access on the Google, Amazon, or Microsoft cloud. That was the case at the IPO, and 4 years later, we're still the only player that's on all three of them. So we're very transparent, and we're trying to democratize quantum computing for all, depending on what your budget is and what you're willing, of course, to allocate to having the latest technology versus the last system or the year before system. So our biggest customers are buying systems from us outright, and that's sort of an 8-figure expenditure. Then you have smaller companies and even governments that are spending 7 figures with us a year on buying access to a machine. And then lastly, we have our older systems that are available through the public clouds on Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. So we very much believe that we are the ecosystem leader. We have more people using our machines than anyone else. We have more people commercializing with us to solve useful problems. And we have more gap revenue than anybody else in the ecosystem.
Okay, I'd like to understand more about your plans at IonQ. You've been a board member since 2021, more recently taken over as president and CEO. You're someone with a strong track record when it comes to investment, including raising $3 billion worth of funding so far. What is your vision for the next phase of growth at IonQ? And what are the challenges that you think the company must get right?
Well, look, we're extremely well capitalized, and we have a lot of momentum with friendly governments and customers, in the private and public space around the world. We, of course, have expanded the company dramatically, both organically with our quantum networking investments and inorganically. We've made 2 acquisitions in the quantum networking space. One was a company called Cubatech in San Diego, California. The other one is a business we're in the middle of buying from SK Telecom in Korea. We're buying actually majority control of a business that's in Switzerland that is majority owned by SK Telecom. And those 2 businesses have been around for 10 years in San Diego and almost 20 years in Geneva, Switzerland. And so we'll, of course, be integrating those acquisitions. We'll be looking to turbocharge those acquisitions using a common sales team, of course, on a global basis to sell both our computing and networking equipment, the safe making and safe breaking technologies, I put it. At the same time, I think building our ecosystem is what I'm most focused on. I mean, quantum computing is still in its early days relative to CPUs and GPUs. I mean, our market cap is about the same as NVIDIA's was 10 years ago. And when we IPO'd 5 years ago, our market cap was similar to where NVIDIA was when they IPO'd, 20 years ago and so on. And so we think we have exponential progress in front of us, unlike traditional computing in Moore's law, where you double the number of transistors on, every 2 years, every 18 months. We actually double the compute power every time we add one qubit. And one algorithmic qubit will double the power. And so going from our algorithmic qubit 36 system, which we call Forte Enterprise, and we were selling as of last year. Our next system we're trying to finish by the end of this year, it will be AQ64. That difference in 36 to 64 qubits is 2 to the power 28 more powerful. So it is 270 million times more powerful, if you can believe that, in just one generation. And we continue, and we're aiming to make similar progress in future years. And so our customers are buying from us because they know that if we can help them improve a problem they're tackling with a 4-day system by, maybe a modest single-digit % improvement in some cases, getting better answers or faster answers, imagine how much better will be next year when we have a new system and the generation, beyond that. It's expanding, as I like to call it, doubly exponentially. And so a lot of our challenge is explaining this to the marketplace and customers because they're not used to this paradigm. They're used to, you buy last generation Pentium chip, new generation Pentium chip, maybe it doubles in power. But ours is just extraordinarily more powerful each time. The other thing going on in our ecosystem, of course, is it takes time to hire and train application developers, the software layers, making sure we can translate real-world problems into something that can run on our quantum computers, and then feeding those results back to our customers. So we're investing a lot in customer success and sales engineers and that kind of thing. And so, look, there's a dissemination of every new technology, whether it's mobile phones, GPUs, QPUs, to go from early adopters to secondary adopters to mass market to, the laggards, if you will. We're still in the early adopter phase. All of our growth is ahead of us, is yet to come. But, whether it's our partnership with NVIDIA around things like drug discovery, through to the fact that our quantum networking equipment is, already embedded with customers like JP Morgan, Singtel, SK Telecom. It's in the new Samsung Galaxy Quantum 5. Our quantum random number generator is in that chip. So people are sitting up and looking at security seriously, and they're thinking about how much shorter these cycles are becoming now with generations of technology. You used to take decades and decades for traditional CPUs to go from Shockley's transistor discovery in the 1940s to the Pentium chip in the 90s. But look how fast GPUs did it, fraction of the time. And I think quantum computing will be the same thing. The joke always is it's 10 years to be an overnight success. We've been at this for actually decades. And so this is our decade. I think the coming 10 years is the decade of quantum computing. As a result, it will be the decade of quantum networking as well. And we're positioned as actually the only public company in the world that does networking and computing, that has as many patents as we have. And we're the only company listed in the Western world that does quantum networking as a pure play as well. So really interesting story for customers, investors to get involved with our ecosystem.
Mr. Masi, thank you very much indeed for speaking to AnewZ. Now, the rise of the Chinese retailer Temu has been prolific, but not without controversy. The multi-billion-dollar globally popular platform has attracted the attention of both the EU and US regulators. And now the government of Uzbekistan has announced plans to restrict shoppers' access to Temu. Fariza Kalamazina has the latest on this story.
Uzbekistan is stepping up its efforts to slow down the rise of Temu, a Chinese marketplace that has been quickly gaining popularity in the region. The National Agency for Prospective Projects has urged people to stop using the platform, and if they have already made purchases, to request a refund. Starting from the 20th of March, access to Temu will be blocked in Uzbekistan. The decision follows a recent government resolution which says that only Uzbek-based companies can operate e-commerce platforms in the country. According to Uzbekistan's e-commerce department, Temu has been aggressively expanding into new markets without following local rules. The platform is not paying taxes or customs duties and money is flowing out of the country. Last year, Temu reportedly took over $10 million out of Uzbekistan. The situation reminds experts of what happened in Turkey, where Temu's arrival had the local e-commerce giant Trendyol. In response, Turkey fully blocked access to Temu. Since late last year, Temu's mobile app has been one of the most popular apps in Uzbekistan. It is second in the App Store and tops the charts on Google Play. But it looks like the government has had enough and is ready to take action. Starting July 1st this year, new rules will require international marketplaces to register with the government and set up a legal presence in Uzbekistan. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimurzina, AnewZ.
Staying with this part of the world, Belgium has expressed keen interest in developing bilateral relations with Azerbaijan across many different sectors of the economy. To help this endeavour, the head of the Belgian-Azerbaijani Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Stef Goris, came to Baku recently on his first ever business trip. And AnewZ's Nigar Shirinova went to meet him. She started by asking him about the scope for partnerships between Azerbaijan and Belgium when it comes to renewable energy.
Azerbaijan is focusing mainly to green energy and digital transformation. So can Belgian companies play a role in these specific sectors?
Yes. Well, we are absolutely convinced that this is the case. You should know that in Belgium we have some companies who have huge experience for many years in renewable energy, mainly wind turbines. We have big companies who are working all over the world, as well onshore as offshore, to build, to make the construction of this kind of wind turbine parks. And if I'm well informed, it's also one of the targets of the Azerbaijani administration to construct this kind of, to go in this kind of renewable energy. So I think we can really be a reliable partner in this field, and we hope that Belgian companies can play a role.
As you know, logistics and supply chains are the key to international trade, and with Azerbaijan's location, as you said, in the middle corridor, which is like key transit hub between Europe and Asia. So do you see opportunities for Belgian businesses in exactly logistics and transport here?
In Belgium, we have several big transport companies who work worldwide with road traffic, but also now more and more modern. We have this what we call intermodal transport, which is a combination of train, road, sea. And a few companies in Belgium already addressed me because they know that the future for the transport from Europe to China to the Far East, it will go, there is no other way, through what we call the bottleneck of Azerbaijan. This is the only way, when you look at the map, to get from one side, from the east to west and to west to east, it is through Azerbaijan. So that's why this is the key role that you will and you can play in the traffic on the road. So I think the future is there because we see that the traffic on the sea it's becoming more and more costly. Also from the point of view of the green energy, and we see what is the pollution of the ships. It's also affecting the maritime transport. Not to speak about the security risks. What we see, what's happening in the Gulf of Persia, what we see, what's happeing in the Red Sea. So currently, we believe that a sustainable solution will be the middle corridor. And the companies who will be the first to really step into this project, I believe they will be the winner. And that's why we also recommend Belgian companies to step in, to join us and to be present to develop it.
So maybe it's a bit related to previous question, but I would like to specifically mention here the technological advancements. So with these supply chain challenges and technological advancements in trade, how can Belgian and Azerbaijani businesses collaborate exactly on innovation and digital trade solutions? So how can these two countries can work together to stay more competitive?
Well, I think in IT technology or AI technology, this is of course an issue that is the whole world is dealing with today, and I think the competition is worldwide in this issue, in this matter. Nevertheless, we also have this kind of technology, IT technology. We have it in Belgium. Several companies who I think also would like to propose their solutions to Azerbaijani companies, but also to Azerbaijani administration when it comes to solutions for customs, for clearance in and out of products and goods. So this should at the maximum also be digitalized. Also the contacts between the countries, between the companies, when we see now still there is some paperwork to do, well, all this should be digitalized. When you go on the websites of the government, it should be in several languages. I think AI could be a useful tool to get a better access for companies to address other companies to deal and to create a better business atmosphere.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stefgoris. I was really delighted with your answers. Thank you for having us today and answering to our questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and for your interest. Thank you.
Now, every week, the world's most famous brands release updates on their financial performance. Katie Wilson is in the AnewZ newsroom with her business results roundup.
2024 was a strong year for Domino's Pizza. The largest pizza company in the world announced 5.9% growth for 2024, adding 775 stores worldwide to their global enterprise of more than 21,300 stores in over 90 markets. Russell Wiener, Domino's Chief Executive Officer, says he remains confident that Domino's will continue to win and grow market share in 2025. In the US, Domino's generated more than 85% of its retail sales via digital channels, and it's known worldwide for developing many innovative ordering platforms. Esports Entertainment Group are set to update analysts on both Q4 2024 and Q1 2025 results. According to an analyst firm Fortune Business Insights, the global market for esports is projected to grow from $2 billion in 2024 to be worth over $9 billion by 2032. Increasing demand for the live streaming of games, leagues, tournaments, and ticket sales are all factors fueling growth and taking the esports industry to the next level. Giant German car maker Volkswagen is due to share news of its full-year results for 2024. The company has had a tough time over the last 12 months. Sales in China have declined and growth in Europe have struggled to get out of first gear. The famous auto brand had been performing much better in both North and South American markets. Analysts and shareholders alike will now be hoping that the blight of US trade tariffs doesn't damage growth prospects too badly on the other side of the Atlantic.
Thanks, Katie. Well, that's all for this week. Please do check out AnewZ.tv for all your latest business news. And don't forget to follow and subscribe across our social media channels. I'll be back next week for more World Business.